Good morning, students. In this particular session, we will see about the functional components of cranial nerves in general because many students were requesting to describe me about the functional components. All alphabetical glimpses are there. We don't know what to give for which cranial nerves. So, for that note, we will first see about the functions of the functional components, why that functional component is given for the particular cranial nerve in the upcoming slides. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves emerging from the brain level. The 12 nerves are these things. The first one is the olfactory nerve, second is the optic, third is the oculomotor, fourth is trochlear, fifth is trigeminal, sixth is abducent, seventh is facial, eighth is vestibulocochlear, ninth is glossopharyngeal nerve, 10th is vagus, and the 11th is accessory nerve. Last 12th will be the hypoglossal nerve. All these 12 cranial nerves emerges from the brain. Among these cranial nerves, the olfactory, optic and the vestibulocochlear nerve. I repeat, olfactory, optic and the vestibulocochlear nerve are thoroughly sensory nerves. Thoroughly sensory nerves. Oculomotor, trochlear, abducent and hypoglossal nerve are thoroughly motor nerve. I repeat, oculomotor, trochlear, abducent, accessory also. Accessory and hypoglossal nerve are thoroughly motor nerves. The remaining nerves are going to be mixed nerves, which consist of both sensory as well as motor fibers. So, coming to what is sensory and motor fibers, sensory fibers are afferent fibers. They receive impulse from outside and they carry the impulse to the brain center. So afferent, taking sensation to the higher center. So what is efferent? Efferent or motor or action. For the impulse received, there should be an action performed by the brain. So that action is stimulated from the brain center to the target region via the motor fibers or efferent fibers. So from now onwards, if we tell afferent or efferent, you should consider afferent means thoroughly sensory. Afferent da sensory da. Efferent means motor fibers. Afferent means sensation will be from the target outside to the brain center. Efferent means from the brain centers to the target. And we know among the cranial nerves what are all thoroughly sensory, what nerves are all thoroughly motor, and the remaining nerves. So, what are the remaining nerves here? Trigeminal nerve, facial nerve, vagus nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, vestibulocochlear nerve. Sorry, not vestibulocochlear nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, vagus nerve. These nerves are going to be mixed nerve. We know from where it is originating. So brain is present within the cranial cavity. So intracranially the nerves are located. Here we are also going to revise about the osteology. So this section you may see the cranial cavity. So this is going to be the cranial cavity, which consists of anterior cranial fossa, middle cranial fossa and the posterior cranial fossa. Coming to the foramens, which is related only to the cranial nerves, we are going to see not all the foramens of cranial fossa, only those foramens or fissures via which the cranial nerves passes, we are going to see. The first one is the olfactory nerve. The olfactory nerve passes via the cribriform plate of ethmoid, which is located on the anterior cranial fossa. So this anterior cranial fossa is going to communicate the anterior cranial fossa to which region? Olfaction means smell sensation. So hopefully this opening should reach the nasal cavity. Yes. The next nerve is the optic nerve. Optic nerve passes via the optic canal to the hopefully orbital cavity, because optic canal is a sensory nerve which is going to take impulses from the retinal layer to the brain center. It is responsible for vision. So here optic nerve passes via the optic canal. This canal is going to communicate the middle cranial fossa with the orbital cavity. The third nerve, oculomotor nerve, is a thorough motor nerve, we know, and this is the motor nerve for muscles of eyeball. This oculomotor nerve, along with the trochlear and the abducens nerve, is going to supply the muscles of eyeball. This oculomotor nerve is going to pass via the superior orbital fissure. Here is the superior orbital fissure. Not only the oculomotor nerve passes via this, oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, abducens nerve, all the three cranial nerves which are related to the muscles of eyeball are going to pass via the superior orbital fissure. The superior orbital fissure is located in the middle cranial fossa, and this fissure is going to communicate the middle cranial fossa with hopefully orbital cavity. Very good. Next comes the, so we have completed the oculomotor, trochlear and the abducens. Coming to the trigeminal nerve. Trigeminal nerve is divided into three divisions. The first one will be the ophthalmic division, second will be the maxillary division, third will be the mandibular division. When we see the arrangement of the cranial fossas, the anterior cranial fossa, then the middle, then the posterior cranial fossa, they will be arranged in a step way or in a sloping way. Anterior cranial fossa will be a bit higher than the middle, and this middle will be a bit higher than the posterior cranial fossa. In a sloping manner, it will be arranged for the arrangement of the brain only here. When you see at the posterior cranial fossa, the main content of it is the cerebellum. For this to lodge, we have a depression here. So, the anterior cranial fossa is at a higher level and the posterior cranial fossa is a bit deeper than the head. Now, what we were seeing about the oculomotor nerve, trochlear, abducens nerve, we saw it passes via the superior orbital fissure. Trigeminal nerve, it has three divisions. The first division, ophthalmic nerve, will pass via the superior orbital fissure, because ophthalmic nerve is concerned with the something concerned with the orbital cavity only. So it passes via the superior orbital fissure. The next nerve is the maxillary nerve. See to this foramen rotundum. Because it is a round in shape, it is called as foramen rotundum. Foramen rotundum is the only foramen which does not open into the norma basalis. So where the foramen is going, this foramen will be getting into the pterygopalatine fossa. This foramen opens to the pterygopalatine fossa. Structure passing through it is the fifth cranial nerve, that to the maxillary nerve. Maxillary division of trigeminal nerve will be passing via the foramen rotundum. No need to buy at any terminologies. Rotundum means round foramen rotundum. Maxillary division will be passing to the pterygopalatine fossa. This is the only foramen which is not appreciated in the norma basalis. Next is the third division, the maxillary division. It will be passing via the foramen ovale. Hopefully you know why the foramen is given the name ovale. It is oval in shape. So this foramen ovale is going to communicate the middle cranial fossa with that of the infratemporal fossa. Very good. Infratemporal fossa. Along with foramen ovale, foramen spinosum also opens into the infratemporal fossa only. So foramen ovale transmits the third division of trigeminal nerve, the maxillary nerve. Yes. So we have completed 5 cranial nerves. Sorry, 6 cranial nerves we have completed. Coming to the 7th cranial nerve. 7th cranial nerve is the facial nerve, which passes via the internal acoustic meatus. So internal acoustic meatus, we have something called as external acoustic meatus. We see it in the lateral aspect of the face. The internal acoustic meatus, this foramen is going to get into the petrous part of temporal bone. Petrous part, this whole lot is going to be the petrous part. Petrous means strong. So this is the strongest part of the cranial cavity, because the ear structures related to ear is present within this petrous part of temporal bone. For the safety of it, God has created like this. We should take like that for us to understand it properly. So via this foramen, what is that, internal acoustic meatus, the seventh cranial nerve along with the eighth cranial nerve will be passing. Here, the eighth cranial nerve is confined with the vestibular and cochlear function. Vestibulocochlear means one is responsible for hearing, another one is maintaining the equilibrium. Facial nerve, this is going to pass via the foramen spinosum. Then it reaches the middle ear cavity. They traverse along the foramens. We will see it in the upcoming classes. Then it gets out of the cranial cavity by means of stylomastoid foramen. Stylomastoid foramen, no need to by heart it. The foramen is present between the styloid process and the mastoid process. So only it is called as stylomastoid foramen. This is the nerve which passes via one foramen initially and gets out via another foramen externally or extracranially. So via two foramens, this nerve, facial nerve, will be passing. Initially, to get out of the skull, it gets into the internal acoustic meatus. Then it passes via the middle ear cavity. Then it exits out of the cavity, cranial cavity or the skull by means of stylomastoid foramen only. So that is about the seventh nerve, and the eighth nerve we have told it is passing via the internal acoustic meatus only. Then coming to the ninth nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve. Ninth, 10th and the 11th nerve. So here the ninth, 10th and the 11th nerve will be passing via the jugular foramen. Jugular foramen. Why it has given the name? Because the main content of this foramen is going to be the internal jugular vein. So only this is called as jugular foramen. 9, 10, 11, that is glossopharyngeal, vagus and the accessory nerve passes via this foramen. Lastly, the hypoglossal nerve passes via the hypoglossal canal. See, this jugular foramen or the hypoglossal canal, everything will be communicating the posterior cranial fossa to the neck region. Developmentally, we know the nervous system is developed from the neural tube. This is going to be the neural tube. The wall of the neural tube consists of three layers: the innermost ependymal layer, the middle mandal layer, and the outer marginal layer. This is going to be the cavity for the CSF to flow through. The inner ependymal layer is going to form the lining of the ventricles. The mandal layer is confined with the developing gray matter. The marginal layer is confined with the developing white matter. From the gray matter, we are going to appreciate the nucleus related, and the cumulative of these nucleus we name as functional components. Yes. So only this mantle layer we are confined. This mantle layer alone we divide it into a dorsal part and a ventral part. The dorsal is called as the alar lamina and the ventral is called as the basal lamina. Alar lamina is confined with the afferent components. Afferent means sensation. So anyways, behind or in the dorsal aspect or in the posterior aspect of the mantle layer is related to sensory components or the afferent components. When it comes to the ventral or the anterior part of the mantle layer, this is confined with the motor components or the efferent components. Now we will see what are all the sensory or the motor components seen at the level of spinal cord. This is the section of spinal cord. Here, this is going to be the section of brainstem. What is the difference between this diagram and this diagram? Here, the spinal cord, we know this is going to be the central canal. This is the gray matter column and this is going to be the white matter column. And as it proceeds above to the brainstem, the invagination of the fourth ventricle leads the alar part of the mantle layer, developing mantle layer to open like a book. So here if you see, this is going to be the ventral aspect and this is going to be the dorsal aspect. Make sure this is at this diagram. See to the arrow marks properly. This diagram is at the level of spinal cord, developed spinal cord. And this is at the level of developed brainstem. When we see the spinal cord, it is confined with general components only. The special components will be seen at the level of brainstem only. So functional components is going to be a confusing topic. If you understand it properly, it is very interesting, like solving a puzzle. At the level of spinal cord, we will be appreciating all the general afferent and efferent components only. The general afferent and efferent. So we know at the dorsal aspect, it is the afferent components, and at the ventral aspect, it will be the efferent components. When it comes to the afferent alone, first one is the somatic afferent. Somatic, if we give this functional component, this particular somatic afferent means the nerve supply is going to the derivatives of the somites. From the somites, certain structures would have been derived. The afferent sensation from that is taken to the higher centers, and that path or that way is given a component named as somatic afferent. So general sensation is only going to take place. So general somatic afferent. Next is the general visceral afferent. If we take the visceral, it is confined with the inner viscera and glands. I repeat, inner viscera and glands. General visceral afferent will take the sensation from the inner viscera and the glands to the higher center. So at the dorsal aspect, we will be appreciating general somatic afferent, then the general visceral afferent. When it comes to the efferent components, there will be again general somatic efferent and general visceral efferent. General somatic efferent means, again here the somatic derivatives only, but the fibers or the action will be motor in action. So motor supply to the muscles will be coming under general somatic efferent. General visceral efferent means visceras to the parasympathetic innervations, the fibers will be going. So these four are seen at the level of spinal cord. When it comes to the brainstem level, three more functional components are invaginating. Those are first derived from the brachial components, or the brachial apparatus will be having two functional components of it. One will be the special visceral afferent and special visceral efferent. The motor fibers for the derivatives of the pharyngeal arch, if it is going, the functional component is given the name as special visceral efferent. The sensation from those derivatives going to the brain center, it will be given as special visceral afferent. These two are confined with the brachial arch and its derivatives. Yes, and one more will be the special somatic afferent. Special somatic afferent for special sensation. So logically speaking, where the functional components are located, general somatic efferent as such, the ventral most it will be present, and the general visceral efferent will be present. These two are at the level of spinal cord itself, we appreciate. When it comes to the brainstem, the special visceral efferent column will be invaginating between these two. Similarly, between general somatic afferent and general visceral afferent, special visceral afferent will be invaginating. Is it clear? These six are clear? General visceral efferent, general somatic efferent, general somatic afferent, general visceral afferent. These four are already known at the level of spinal cord. The special visceral efferent and the special visceral afferent are invaginating between these structures, and the special somatic afferent, which is confined with the special sensation, is dorsal most placed. So altogether there are 7 functional components. Here we will see about the explanation of the functional components alone. Leave off the nucleus at this level. We will first understand what is the functional component is about and why it is given for cranial nerves. First one is general somatic afferent. General somatic afferent. Somatic is derivatives of the somites. Afferent means sensory fibers. General sensation. So what are the general sensation? Touch, pain, temperature, the feedback of the muscle contraction and the joint positioning. These are all the general sensations. General sensations, we divide it into proprioceptive and exterioceptive. Proprioceptive is nothing but the feedback of the muscle contraction and the joint positioning. The exterioceptive is concerned about the pain, touch and temperature. If these two are present or the sensation is taken from these regions given to the higher center, that is the cortex, then that particular cranial nerve will given the functional component general somatic afferent. Is it clear? So for that example will be the trigeminal nerve nucleus, Travli, the main sensory nucleus, the spinal nucleus and the mesencephalic nucleus. All three will be the example for general somatic afferent, because trigeminal nerve, as a way we know, it is a giving the sensory supply or sensory supply to the face. So general sensation from the face is taken out by the trigeminal nerve, relayed, or it is ending in the main sensory nucleus, and then it is going to the higher centers. So this one is going to be an example. So when we see the trigeminal nerve, definitely this functional component we will be giving. So general somatic afferent is clear. Now coming to the general somatic efferent. General somatic efferent or somatic efferent. Somatic efferent means muscle, motor supply to the skeletal muscle of somatic derivative. That's all. So when we take in that note, the oculomotor, trochlear and the abducer nerve, these three are going to be thoroughly motor nerve supplying the muscles of eyeball. They are going to supply the skeletal muscle derived from the somites. So for that purpose, we will give the somatic efferent functional component to the oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve and the abducer nerve. Apart from that, we have already told hypoglossal nerve is going to be the nerve to the muscles of tongue. So these four nucleus will come under somatic efferent. So third, fourth, sixth and the 12th cranial nerve will be having somatic efferent component, because they are all whole and soul supplying the motor supply to the skeletal muscle derived from somites. Is it clear? So general somatic afferent and general somatic efferent columns are over. Now coming to general visceral afferent. General visceral afferent, general sensation from the inner viscera are taken. Right? General visceral afferent. The one and whole nucleus, which is related to the general visceral afferent, also special visceral afferent, is the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Nucleus of tractus solitarius. It is going to take the sensations. So cranial nerves which are taking general sensation from the viscera will come under this category. The seventh nerve, eighth nerve, and the ninth nerve will be coming under this category. General visceral afferent alone. So, special visceral afferent. Sorry, general visceral afferent we saw. So, we should see now general visceral efferent. So, this is going to be the general visceral efferent. Whenever a cranial nerve is given general visceral efferent, blindly we can say if there is parasympathetic innervation or nerve supply to the smooth muscle, then this functional component will be given. So parasympathetic ganglion at the level of head and neck, we know there are four in numbers. Yes, ciliary ganglion, pterygopalatine ganglion, submandibular ganglion, and the otic ganglion. These all four ganglion, they are going to supply the glands. So wherever there is parasympathetic innervation seen in cranial nerves, there and all we will be giving this general visceral efference. Edinger-Westphal nucleus. So what is about the Edinger-Westphal nucleus which is seen at the level of midbrain? What is related to the Edinger-Westphal nucleus? Can anyone? Yes. Ciliary ganglion is related to it. It is going to pass via the ophthalmic nerve, which is a branch of trigeminal nerve. So for trigeminal nerve, we will be giving general visceral efferent because it is confined with the ciliary ganglion. Coming to the superior and the inferior salivatory nucleus, they are confined with the salivation, secretion. So superior and the inferior salivatory nucleus, they both are located at the level of pons. The superior salivatory nucleus is confined with the facial nerve. The inferior salivatory nucleus is confined with the what? Inferior salivatory nucleus is going to the parotid gland. It is confined with the glossopharyngeal nerve. Next, coming to the dorsal nucleus of the vagus at the level of medulla. This is also going to give off the secretomotor pathway. So, whenever a cranial nerve is given general visceral efferent, you should be confined with secretomotor pathway and nerve supply to the smooth muscle. I repeat these four alone. The general sensations or general functional component alone I will repeat again, then we will go to the special. General somatic afferent, general sensations of somatic derivatives. If the cranial nerve is supplying, then we will give this functional component. General somatic efferent or somatic efferent if there is going to be a motor supply to the skeletal muscle derivative of somatic in origin, then this functional component will be given. Next is the general visceral afferent. General visceral afferent means the sensation are taken from the inner viscera means then this functional component will be given. General visceral efferent if there is a nerve supply to the smooth muscle and if there is parasympathetic innervation related to the cranial nerve, then this particular functional component will be given. So general components are clear now. Coming to the special component, special visceral afferent. Special visceral afferent. So special visceral afferent and special visceral efferent. These two functional components, as we have already told, is related with the brachial arch and its derivative. Brachial arch and its derivative. There are around 6 brachial arches and in which the fifth one is not existing. So 5 in numbers. From that, if there a motor nerve is going and supplying to its derivatives, then the functional component given will be special visceral efferent. Special visceral efferent. For that, the fifth cranial nerve, seventh cranial nerve, ninth, 10th, 11th cranial nerves. All these are giving off nerve supply to the muscles and the cartilages derived from the brachial arch. The sensation from these structures, the derivatives are taken out, means then they will give us special visceral afferent. So special visceral afferent, hopefully the nucleus related to that will be tractus solitarius. So here when we take tractus solitarius is confined with both general visceral afferent and special visceral afferent. Anything, any sensation from the inner viscera, tractus solitarius, you should get remembered of. When we utter special visceral efferent, immediately it should strike you that derivatives of the brachial arches are given by this motor fibers, means special visceral efferent component will be given. And coming to the last functional component, special somatic afferent, which is exclusively to special sensation. Here vestibular and the cochlear nerve. Vestibular nerve is for equilibrium and cochlear is for hearing. These both are going to be special sensation. So this particular functional component is given. There is no special somatic efferent as such like that. Yes. So take home message, these functional components, if it is given, you should have a vague idea. We don't know where it is supplying, but if the functional component is given, you should have an idea. General somatic afferent, general sensation from the outside the body or derivatives of the somites is there, then general somatic afferent will be given. General somatic efferent or the somatic efferent, motor supply to the skeletal muscle derived from the somites, means this functional component is given. General visceral afferent means the sensation from the inner viscera, if it is taking, then this functional component is given. General visceral efferent means nerve supply to the smooth muscle of the inner viscera and the secretomotor pathway of the parasympathetic ganglion. If the cranial nerve is involved, then this particular functional component will be given. When it comes to special sensations, special visceral efferent is confined with the motor supply to the brachial arch derivatives. Special visceral afferent is confined with the sensation from the derivatives of brachial arch. When it comes to special somatic afferent, it is exclusive to the special somatic afferent. So we are sure about the functional components, its description. Now with the cranial nerves, we will merge and see. For the first cranial nerve, the olfactory nerve, it is a thorough sensory nerve. It is going to take smell sensation and it is going to reach the olfactory nucleus. So we are sure about the functional components, its description. Now with the cranial nerves, we will merge and see. For the first cranial nerve, the olfactory nerve, it is a thorough sensory nerve. It is going to take smell sensation and it is going to reach the olfactory nucleus at the level of forebrain. The functional component so given will be special somatic afferent, SSA. The next is going to be the optic nerve. Optic nerve is also carrying the special sensation of vision. So the functional component is SSA again. The nucleus is optic nerve nucleus at the level of forebrain again. The third cranial nerve will be oculomotor nerve. At a vague we know it is the motor nerve to extraocular muscles. So what functional component will be given? General somatic efferent, where they go to the oculomotor nerve nuclei at the level of midbrain. And it is also given general somatic afferent functional component because some proprioceptive fibers from the extraocular muscles is also taken back to the Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Since it is confined with the accommodation, general visceral efferent is also given. The fourth nerve will be trochlear nerve. The trochlear nerve is going to supply the extraocular muscle. We know all the muscles of eyeball is supplied by the oculomotor nerve except LR6, SO4. Superior oblique is supplied by the trochlear nerve. So general somatic efferent is given. The nucleus related to it will be the trochlear nerve nucleus. oculomotor nerve, the trochlear nerve. Both are located at the level of midbrain. Yes. Next, proprioception is also there. From the target extraocular muscles, proprioception is also taken by the trochlear nerve itself. So, the functional component, general somatic afferent, is also given. The fifth nerve is the trigeminal nerve. It is a mixed nerve. It has many functions since it is supplying the motor supply to muscles of mastication via the mandibular division. Special visceral efferent is given. Special visceral efferent, special visceral means derivatives of brachial arch. So here muscles of mastication is derived from the first pharyngeal arch, the mandibular arch. So the SVE is given and the nucleus related to it will be the motor nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Similarly, general somatic afferent sensation of the face is taken out by the trigeminal nerve and proprioception is also taken. So, the functional component is given. The nucleus related to trigeminal nerve here will be mesencephalic nucleus and the superior sensory and the spinal nucleus. Got it? Next is the sixth abducens nerve. We know lateral rectus muscle, the extraocular muscle is supplied by the abducens nerve. So, general somatic efferent. It relies on the abducens nerve nucleus. Abducens nerve is the sixth cranial nerve. We know 5, 6, 7, 8. All the four cranial nerve is at the level of pons. In that 7 and 8 at the pointomedullary junction it will be emerging. 5 and 6 exclusively from the pons itself it will be emerging. All the cranial nerves will emerge from the ventral aspect except the trochlear nerve from the dorsal aspect. Yes. Next is the facial nerve. It is the master mixed cranial nerve. Since it is supplying all the muscles of facial expression which are derivative of the second pharyngeal arch, it has given the component SVE, special visceral efferent. The nucleus related to it will be the motor nucleus of the facial nerve at the level of lower part of the pons. Then proprioceptive fibers from the posterior part of the auricle is carried out by the facial nerve. So, general somatic afferent component is given. It goes to the nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Then the special visceral afferent functional component is given because special sensation of taste from the anterior two-thirds of the tongue is taken by the facial nerve. It goes to the nucleus tractus solitarius. A beautiful information about nucleus tractus solitarius is it is confined with the special as well as general visceral afferent functions. Yes. Then this facial nerve is confined with the parasympathetic secretomotor pathway. Whenever the parasympathetic secretomotor pathway is coming, there we should give the functional component general visceral efferent. It helps in secretomotor to the sublingual and submandibular salivary gland as well as to the lacrimal gland. The nucleus related to it will be the superior salivatory nucleus and the lacrimatory nucleus at the level of lower part of the pons. When it comes to the vestibulocochlear nerve, we already described it is going to be a special sensation. It is thoroughly a sensory nerve responsible for hearing and balance. So the functional component given will be SSA. The nucleus is vestibular and the cochlear nerve nucleus. Coming to the glossopharyngeal nerve, glossopharyngeal, glossotongue, pharynx. So these two areas we should keep in mind when we give the supply and the functional component. Since it is supplying one of the pharyngeal arch derivative muscle, stylopharyngeus, the functional component SVE is given and the nucleus related to it will be the nucleus ambiguous. And it receives the proprioceptive function from the middle ear cavity. So general somatic afferent is given. It goes to the trigeminal nerve nucleus. It is responsible for the secretomotor pathway of the or secretomotor sensation for the parotid gland. So general visual efferent is given. The nucleus related will be the inferior salivatory nucleus. This glossopharyngeal nerve is going to receive special sensation, taste sensation from the posterior one third of the tongue. So special visceral afferent functional component is given, and the nucleus will be the nucleus tractus solitarius. Apart from that, it receives general sensation from the pharynx. So it is given general visceral afferent, and the nucleus related will be nucleus tractus solitarius. Whenever we are studying about glossopharyngeal, with the name itself, glosso, tongue, pharyngeal, pharynx, both the regions should be considered. Next, coming to the vagus and the cranial part of accessory nerve, because cranial accessory nerve goes hand with the vagus, we have included in this column. The muscles of the palate are derived from the pharyngeal arch. It is innervated by the branches of vagus. So the special visceral efferent component is given. The nucleus related to it will be the nucleus ambiguous. Then about the secretomotor to the viscerals, that is in the visceral lower aspect it is going. So general visceral efferent functional component is given, and the nucleus related will be dorsal nucleus of the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve takes the general sensation from the viscera. So general visceral afferent functional component is given, and the nucleus related to it will be the nucleus tractus solitarius. It takes special sensation of taste from the posterior most part of the tongue. Anterior one third by the facial nerve, posterior one third by the glossopharyngeal nerve. The posterior most part, the sensation is taken by the vagus. So special visceral afferent nucleus related will be nucleus tractus solitarius. Then it takes general sensation from the skin around the ear. So general somatic afferent functional component is given, and it relies on the trigeminal nerve nucleus. When it comes to ear, throughout around the ear, the sensation is taken by the vagus, except the behind the auricle where the facial nerve is taking, but all are going to trigeminal nerve nucleus only. Coming to the spinal accessory nerve is going to supply sternocleidomastoid and trapezius, which are the skeletal muscles. So functional component will be general somatic efferent. They responsible nucleus will be spinal nucleus of accessory nerve. Lastly, the hypoglossal nerve, it is going to be the nerve of muscles of tongue. It is going to give motor innervation to the muscles of tongue, and some proprioceptive fibers from tongue itself is carried out. So general somatic efferent for its motor action and general somatic afferent for proprioceptive function is given, and the nucleus confined will be the hypoglossal nerve nucleus. This will be located at the level of medulla. Hope the session was useful to know about functional components and the cranial nerves related to it. Thank you.